What's up, YouTube? This is Lord Zath bringing you another episode of Zath's Replay Theater. In this game, we have SoliDeoGloria. If I pronounced it right. Playing the Tier 7 Premium USN Cruiser, the Indianapolis. And, so, I'm gonna do my typical screenshot thing while I talk a little bit about the ship and, what to expect, maybe, here. Ooh, he's an alpha tester. I like that. That's cool. I am incredibly jelly, because I missed out on getting in the alpha. Anyway, so this ship, a lot of people look at it and say, oh, it's just a Pensacola. It is not a Pensacola. Alright? Say it with me in Arnold voice. It is not a Pensacola. It is something completely different. Yes, it's a cruiser. Yes, it's got 8-inch guns. But it's got 9 of them, and it's arranged very differently. It has 6 guns up here at the front. Ooh, this is kind of a cool shot. It's got 6 guns up here at the front, and what that means is that she's kind of in a good potential situation to be able to bow tank and go bow in and that sort of thing. It's something that you can kind of get away with depending on the ship tiers that you run into, and it's something that sometimes, you know, can get you out of a lot of trouble. And you can see here we've got a nice little rear turret. Now, what's different is the Pensacola has 5 guns up front, and it's got 5 guns in the rear. Now, there's one other major difference between the Indianapolis and the Pensacola that we need to go over. In order to do that, I'm going to bring back the UI, and that has to be this guy right down here. This makes the Indianapolis well worth the price of entry, so to speak. It is surveillance radar, and recently it got buffed to, I believe it's 9.99 kilometers, so 10-kilometer radar. Why is that important? Because no other ship at Tier 7 reaches that range for radar. The Atlanta is, I believe, 8.5 kilometer, so that gives her something unique. She's able to really go out and detect destroyers, cruisers, all that good stuff. So let's talk a little bit about the current game. This is a top tier game. Woo, Soli, you are very lucky to end up top tier in a tier 5 battle. This is one of the reasons, by the way, I love tier 7 so much now, because chances are you're going to end up top tier quite a bit. Or if you're bottom tier, okay, you're going to get into a tier 9 battle, which is very different from getting into a tier 10 battle. So, for me, Tier 7 is kind of now hit the sweet spot as my favorite tier. So let's take a look at the flag choices that Soli is flying. There are none. Okay, you could definitely get away with that in this ship. There are some flags that I think would be helpful in this situation, one of which would be the flag that reduces consumable reload time, November Foxtrot, by 5%. That means that the radar, defensive fire, and damage control party all recharges just a little bit faster, which would help in this situation, in a lot of situations. What other ones would be helpful? The ones that add to fire chance could be useful as well. And obviously, economic flags can be useful too. This ship is one of those ships where if you get the right kind of game, and if you're really good at hunting destroyers specifically, you can get an awful lot of XP. So, that being said, we see that Soli is running all 3 premium consumables at the bottom there. I think that's really useful, especially for premium damage control party. Also for that premium radar. That just means he's going to be able to spam shells more rapidly. You notice he had HE loaded, but then when he saw cruisers coming into range, he switched to AP. Very smart. The AP on the Indianapolis, and also, of course, the Pensacola, incredibly strong. So let's see what he's going to do here. My guess is he's going to shoot the Cleveland if the Cleveland shows a little bit more broadside, which he's starting to do. And of course he disappears. This is what happens to me all the time too, is I get ready to shoot, and then the ship disappears. Cleveland's back, but now you see he's angling in. So that's not going to work so well, but Soli needs to do something, because the Nicholas and the other destroyer there and those 2 cruisers are not looking good. Okay, Pensacola's turning. Perfect time to fire. Pensacola had no idea you were there, and look at these shells. This is going to be beautiful. Okay, RNG says no. But you still did 11k damage. You hit him dead center. That was really good gunnery. Better than I could have done, most likely. Pensacola is still giving you a little bit of broadside here. And look at that, you punished the Citadel. Nice job. So, for those of you guys that don't know, USN... Oh, 1 hit point! 1 hit point. I'm screenshotting that. That is hilarious, that poor guy. Anyway, American piercing shells, otherwise known as AP shells for USN, have this special ability to penetrate from a, I guess you could say steeper angle than most others. So typically it's up to, I believe, 40 degrees of an angle to your target. You can penetrate and get some good damage, maybe some citadels, which we saw happening against the Pensacola. Now, Soli is kind of angling away now, which is smart, and this Miyoko dies before he can even do anything about it. Okay, so nothing is in ACAP now, right? ACAP is not being taken, and this is good. Now I'm going to pause for a second. We are seeing what we see so much on this map specifically, and that is what's called the Lemming Train. Choo-choo, all aboard. In this case, we see that that Soli's side won the race to BCAP, and they have it so far. Look at the enemy team. They are just, oh god, I see this so much. Everybody says, okay, let's go BC, and then everybody just goes C and leaves B out to dry. Why is that such a big deal? Well, look at the positioning. All right, enemy fleet, Soli's fleet. Do you see what's happening here? They're both kind of doing this clockwise circle jerk around each other. But the key is the middle cap. Because Soli's team has the middle cap, any attempt to push into B is probably going to be punished by the Fiji, Nicholas, and maybe some of these ships in the rear. Meanwhile, there's 2 destroyers left, and most likely one, if not both of those, have gone to C and are now looping around to flank. The problem with that is, look at the enemy team again. See how far back they are from C? They are in no position to support the destroyers if the destroyers push. So if you're a destroyer, what are you going to do in that situation? Well, the safest route would be to double back, right? And come back and maybe enter BCAP through here or enter through here. Okay? Either way, that's not an optimal situation. In theory, you want to be over here, right? You want to be able to whack those guys in your, let's see, Minakaze and Gnevny. So Gnevny can maybe go rejoin the fleet and be a gunboat, but Minakaze wants to come through here, right? Minakaze wants to torp this Fiji. Maybe this New Mexico here and some of the other ships. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Meanwhile, A is completely free right now. Maybe a destroyer will show up in a little bit, but right now it's free. And these guys are just going to steam right in and cap it. That's going to put them at a significant advantage. They're already at a ship advantage too. And Soli is going to have to turn in. So I predict he's going to go to A and then turn in this way and start pounding maybe the Kirov, because the Kirov's currently showing a nice broadside. So good positioning right now for Soli. He is able to exploit this flank. And I really like how with him in front of the battleships feel comfortable pushing. Because it's a symbiotic relationship, right? He's able to whack any sort of destroyer that shows up. And look at the chat. They're laughing about that stupid Miyoko that died. Anyway, so he's able to whack any destroyer that comes into play. And those battleships are able to whack any battleships or cruisers that come into play. And so it's a nice symbiotic relationship, right, where these ships can support each other and help. And this is the kind of teamwork you often lack. Oh boy, look at the Nicholas. Nicholas is dead. Okay, this is what's called a derp. He's coming out and he wants to go full torpedo and YOLO and get himself killed. Surprised by nobody. And he got detonated, so at least he gets some flags for that. It's consolation. Queen Elizabeth kills the Kirov. Nice hit. Look at the Queen Elizabeth's positioning. This player is being very aggressive, but that's okay. Gnevny detected. Alright, so Miyoko is probably going to whack the Gnevny. And now look at Soli's positioning. Remember I said something earlier about the guns in the bow and being able to bow tank, and that's kind of what he's doing right here. He's also recognizing the threat, right? The biggest threats are the battleship's coming around, and the fact that the Minakaze is not spotted, nobody knows where the Minakaze is. Queen Elizabeth died, possibly because it overextended just a little bit. Ooh, that arrow is low. So the question is now, who does Soleil attack? It looks like he's aiming to shoot the New York, which is kind of, I mean, he's not a real threat, but at the same time, I would agree with that decision. There's really not much else you want to pick a fight with. I would gladly fight a New York too. And the New York is now turning away, so it'll be a question to see if you can get some fires on him. And one thing I like about Soleil that he's doing is he's constantly moving his rudder. You'll notice, nice fire, he's not just staying on the same course. He's taking the ability to move around and stay loose and slippery, so to speak. All right, I'm gonna line up here to take one quick shot as soon as he fires. 2.7 seconds. All right, I just want to line up a quick photo because look at this shot. Isn't that kind of gorgeous? I think so. Gorgeous. All right, so let's speed up things a little bit so you guys know. Insert and delete speed and slow down the game. End brings it to a full pause. And home brings it back to your normal speed. Control Shift Backspace is what I use to break the camera. And of course now he's not firing. This is what typically happens to me too when I do screenshots for the wiki and stuff, and I'm like, okay, well he's gonna fire, and then he decides not to, or I decide not to. So what Soli was doing there, let's see if I can get that shot. This could work. This could work. What Soli's doing there was he went to get there we go. He wanted to change his positioning, and he went dark for a minute, and I think that's really important too. As a cruiser player, you do not want to just simply be consistently firing non-stop. Just because you can shoot something doesn't mean that you actually should be shooting it. And that's something a lot of cruiser players struggle with. Right now, nobody's targeting him. He was being targeted for sec, possibly by the Gneisenau. And, you know, he did a nice thing. By going dark, he was able to reposition himself, turn, show a broadside to the enemy battleships, and now he's gotten away with the turn. Now he's what's called kiting, which means he's sailing away. And so he's showing a little bit of broadside, but not much. And he's able to get most of his guns to bear, and he can turn away as needed. Now, be careful, because that Queen Elizabeth is also coming into range. And I think you see it now, and you're starting to turn away as well, which is smart. And then you're turning back in to engage this guy again. Meanwhile, that Miyoko is trapped. I don't know what he was thinking putting himself in that spot. He's got torpedoes, but he really can't use them. Meanwhile, the Gneisenau can just shoot him in the face, which he just did. And there goes the Aoba too. Aoba is really low. All right, look at what the team's doing. They're all in the same grid line. I don't like that, because what that means is that the enemy team can overwhelm them and surround them. This is not looking good all of a sudden. Yeah. So here's the deal. Now Soli is the only person on this flank, which means he's going to get focused. B-cap is being capped, possibly just by the Gneisenau, but it could be by both the Gneisenau and the Minakaze. As far as positioning, I think you're doing the right thing here. You're trying to force two different positions here for the enemy team. They have to look at you, they have to engage you, but they also have a whole bunch of ships on the other side to deal with too. Probably getting a kill there. Yep. B-cap is no longer being capped, so we know that there's a destroyer someplace else. I find it very interesting that the Minakaze hasn't done anything. Really, doesn't seem like it, at least. Is he divisioned with the New York? Okay. So if the Minakaze is divisioned with the New York, it's possible. Well, no, he was last seen over here. Okay. So now you can see Soli is heading towards the island at A, and he's putting himself in a position to where if he needs to run away, he can run behind the island, break line of sight, use it as infinite armor, so to speak. And I think that's smart. And I was just about to comment, and look, you just read my mind. He changed to AP because that Queen Elizabeth is showing him a broadside. And a lot of players don't understand that, especially with the 8-inch batteries of the Pensacola and the Indianapolis, you can really do a lot of damage. One thing that I would like to recommend, Soli, is, look at that, 3K. And that adds up quick because you have good reload in a cruiser. One thing I'd recommend doing is spending less time mouse wheeling in and out like you're doing, and I would use the shift key to just insta zoom in and insta zoom out. Oh, nice hit, 10K almost. I think that, oh, there's the Minikaze. I think that will help you quite a bit in terms of being able to react much quicker to situations. Personally, right now, I would be switching to HE and I'd be focusing on the Minikaze, which you're doing. Good. He's in your radar range at 7.7 kilometers. So that's good. The thing is, you're also now getting into his torpedo range. His torpedoes reach out to 7 kilometers. He disappeared. A lot of players will want to use their radar right away, but you're holding your radar. Ooh, bad decision, man. I would personally, I see what you're doing. You're trying to take out the Queen Elizabeth. I would personally keep HE, and I would point in at the Minikaze at that point, slow down, and fire off the radar. You've got premium radar, you've got plenty of it left, you've got these battleships that are coming around. Going bow into them and slowing down, I think, completely wrecks the Minikaze's gameplay. Gives you a good opportunity to do some damage to him, get him out of position, because what you want is you want him on the defensive, because look at that October. That October is going to get torpedoed right now. That's my prediction. Colorado, King George are next by this Minikaze. You need to prevent that Minikaze from even existing. And I think you lost a really good opportunity there because you wanted to hit some battleships. Just keep that in mind. You switch to AP again. You're looking at the war spite and saying I can get a kill on him. Sure. And there's the Minikaze again. See, I think this is a misplay here. You're trying to shoot the battleship, but in the process, that October is dead. We all know it, right? And again, he's in radar range. You could be using your radar to your fleet's advantage. Use your radar now. Pop your radar. Good. Okay. He is moving pretty slowly. Will that kill him? Yes. Okay. So you killed him, but again, I'm pretty darn sure those torpedoes are going to show up. At this point, I'd be communicating with the team, telling them they need to shoot that freaking Atlanta and get him out of there. The Atlanta is going to be the biggest threat for these battleships right now. At least in my opinion. Look, there's torpedoes. Again, had you engaged that Minikaze earlier, that Minikaze would not have hit. Okay, King George, why are you shooting the New York? New York just DCP'd. 20 seconds of free time. Oh, he shot you. Interesting. Shot both, looks like, actually. You should be shooting the King George because the New York has 20 seconds of invulnerability when he uses damage control party. So I'm not sure what you're thinking of by shooting the New York right now. If I were you, I'd be shooting the King George. And now you're shooting the King George, but see, again, now the damage control party cooldown is gone, so now you've got an opportunity to go back to the New York. I see what you're doing. You're switching to AP. Useful. Definitely. So let's see what happens. I'm gonna. King George is using fire prevention. Okay, good. 5K. And that October has no reason to apologize. He did a great job there. I would have fired off that last AP salvo at the King George. And look, your team had it. This is I think a good spot to showcase where you went wrong. Not going in after that Minikaze sealed the deal. And now you're not shooting the New York. I'm not sure why you're not shooting the New York here. New York is really low. Maybe you're thinking the King George has it? But look, the King George doesn't have it. I would be shooting that New York, man. Get him out. All right, well, King George did it. So you're prioritizing the King George. I would probably do the same. The Gnevny isn't that much of a threat, especially with your ability to radar him. All right, now it comes time to hit the Gnevny. You gotta watch that radar or watch the Atlanta. I mean, not so much the radar. All right. Now you're pushing in close. I personally would disagree with this idea. I would say maybe be a little bit farther back, but I kind of get what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to kill this guy, and at the same time not give the Atlanta a good salvo, a good shot. I would be slowing down at this point. I'd be going down to 1/4, and basically dare the Gnevny to come after you. And here's why. Because now, by doing that, you're letting the Atlanta get a lot closer to you. And now, it's a race. It's a race to kill this guy before he can torp you. And it's a race to obviously kill the Atlanta too. Oh, nice salvo. Nice salvo. This, you might be able to turn this around. I think you will. As soon as this guy's done, I know you're going to change to AP and pow the Atlanta with it. Okay, there it is. You've already planned out your next move. See, this is what a lot of players don't do, is they don't plan, what am I going to do next? Going broadside, okay, you're going to shoot the Atlanta. You're waiting for him to overturn. Alright, now the question is, what are you doing? What are you going to do here? Okay, he's turning to use his torpedoes, and you're going to punish him for that. You're going to punish him hard for that. I'm going to stop and take a screenshot of this, because I think this might very well be the defining moment. Plus it adds dramatic tension for everybody, right? Will he get this kill? Stay tuned. Alright, let's see. It's cruiser on cruiser action here on the high seas. And let's see. Does he get the nope, he does not. Alright, going back to it, let's go back to the game and see what happens. And again, we pretty much know what's gonna happen here. The Atlanta is not bothering to do any, there it is, any sort of dodging, and as a result, this is what's happening, right? Good job, by the way, on the high caliber. That was awesome. And look at this. Huh? This can work. I know I promised I would stop taking screenshots while watching the replays, so I do apologize for that. But let's talk about real quick what happened. So I think Soli made a slight misplay there by not killing the Minakaze, but you'll notice he still managed to get the win. He still managed to kind of, I guess you could say, carry the team. I don't know the exact results, and I personally don't want to know the exact results before looking at the replays, because I think that's kind of important to look at and say, well, you know, I don't want to know what's happening. I want to be surprised. I want to see just like you guys. So we've got a high caliber and a Kraken, 129,000 damage. Nice job. Nice job. And I think you've done a great job of highlighting what the Indianapolis can do and why it's so powerful. Some suggestions: don't be afraid to use that radar more often to support the team, especially. And using that shift key to go in and out for zoom, I think would help. And lastly, I would say don't be afraid to be a little bit more aggressive, perhaps. If it has the chance of changing the game earlier while you have more friendlies alive. So either way, hats off to you. Nice job. For those of you that are watching this, part of the reason why I'm showcasing the Indianapolis in this is because it is now available through Wargaming's different Black Friday, Thanksgiving bundles. So you've got a chance to pick one up yourself, as well as a few other premium ships. So give it a try if you want. So once again, everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, all that usual YouTube stuff. And if you have a replay, please send it my way. I'd love to look at it and give you some comments. Thanks. Take care.